So let's talk about some NBA players that lost it all. I mean, some of these stories are just tragic. Welcome back to Triple Double. We're going to talk about NBA players who made millions of dollars but somehow blew all their money. So drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into it. Starting off, we have to talk about Allen Iverson, who made over $200 million in his career. You may be wondering, how do you blow $200 million? I'm thinking the same thing. Look, Allen Iverson remains the biggest loser of all NBA players who retired after blowing close to $250 million on what? Expensive jewelry and private jets. Now on the bright side, you can always sell back the jewelry, but those private jets, not so much. Iverson was a cultural icon, especially for basketball. He used to wear like the best diamond encrusted Cartier watches, and his style was one of a kind. But in 2013, he lost it all because his home had to be foreclosed and he was living out of a hotel in Charlotte for a couple of months. That's a pretty bad fall off, going from private jets to living in a hotel. Granted, it was probably a 5-star hotel, but still. On the bright side for Iverson, he did bounce back because he signed a lifetime endorsement contract with Reebok, so it's not all over for him. And that contract was worth a lot of money, but he'll only be able to touch $30 million in a rainy day trust fund in 2030. So still 8 more years, when he'll be 55 years old, can he touch $30 million. So his future is still set, but nowhere close to $200 million. Now you may be wondering, how did he lose all of the money? Well, arrests and other off-court trouble hurt Iverson's reputation from the beginning of his pro career, and he fell victim to the same traps that many star athletes fall into, and also buying hard-to-sell mansions, along with giving money to family members and friends. This is what happens to a lot of athletes, and especially later in the list, you'll hear about it as well. But going from $200 million to losing it all is crazy. The next player we're going to talk about is Antoine Walker.
Hi, I'm Antoine Walker. I play forward for the Boston Celtics.
Now this isn't as bad as Allen Iverson, but it's still really close because he lost over $110 million. I mean, what could he possibly be buying to lose that much money? Antoine Walker had a successful 14-year career beginning in 1996 when he was drafted by the Boston Celtics with the number 6 overall pick.
With the 6th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Boston Celtics select Antoine Walker from the University of Kentucky.
I mean, he was pretty good. He was on 3 All-Star teams. He won a championship with the Miami Heat in 2006. And like I said, he earned over $100 million during his entire career. But in 2010, just 2 years after he retired, he owed $12.7 million. How? I have no clue. The thing is, he only had $4 million left. It was so bad that he had to declare bankruptcy.
And when you go through a bankruptcy, you got a decision to make. At the time, I owned 4 homes, but you can keep a home. I don't want to keep the 4 cribs to show everybody in the world, oh, I still got it and I can't really afford it. No, it's a one-time shot. And I asked my mom, I said, what do you want to do? And the first time I broke down, she said, let the house go.
Just because of his lavish lifestyle, where he had high-end jewelry, cars, homes that he partially financed. There was also a conviction for writing $800,000 in bad checks to a casino to cover gambling losses. So I imagine he lost a lot of his money due to gambling. That's a really quick way to lose money, and later in the list you'll hear other players that lost a lot of money because of gambling. It's a nasty addiction, and when you have a lot of money, you could lose a lot of money. It's not like the assets he has where he could resell them and get some money back. Once you lose the money in gambling, it's over. And that's what happened to our next person, Charles Barkley, who earned over $40 million as a superstar NBA player, but luckily he bounced back. He had a really bad gambling addiction, which almost cost him everything. Remember, he was friends with Michael Jordan, who's a very competitive gambler, so if you're around Michael Jordan, you're probably going to be gambling and losing a lot of money. In 2006, he claimed that he lost around $10 million, and he lost $2.5 million of that playing blackjack in how long? Under 6 hours.
Like I say, I probably only won $1 million 5 or 6 times, but I've lost $1 million, somewhere between 10 and 20. I can't get an exact number because we're going back to the 80s.
Some people will never see $2.5 million, but Charles Barkley lost that amount in 6 hours by gambling. Like I said, it's a nasty addiction. But the good thing is, he seems to have gotten over his addiction, which he always denied, which is one of the first steps to overcoming an addiction. But now he's with TNT, and he's doing just fine. His current net worth is $40 million. It's probably even higher. Barkley's living really comfortable because recently he did announce that he may be retiring from TNT in a few years once his contract is over. So luckily for his personality, he was able to bounce right back. Another person that was able to bounce right back because of their personality is Gilbert Arenas, who lost as much as $100 million. He earned over $160 million during his career, but he almost went entirely broke. He did everything he could to lose his money. His 7-bedroom mansion that has its own personal Shark Tank is one of the reasons he lost a lot of money, and he owns over 2,000 pairs of shoes. That's way too many to keep track of. I have like 3. And he loves to gamble. Again, gambling just keeps getting these players. These types of expenses will not help him save money. But on the bright side, he still has a net worth of around $10 million, but TMZ reported that he was refusing to pay for a private school for his 4 children, since the school will cost him around $100,000 a year. Now, if he played his cards right, that would be nothing for him. But since he wasted a lot of money, $100,000 a year is a lot of money. Now he's doing great for himself with a successful podcast, so everything is good for him at least. But still, $160 million, I just don't get how you could lose that much money. If you give me $160 million, I'm not gonna touch $100 million of it, and I'll only spend like a small portion of it. But these players just can't control themselves. Now our next player hits home because as a Pistons fan, it's tough to see this. Rick Mahorn, he was part of the Bad Boy Pistons back in the 1990s. He's an icon in Detroit. He didn't earn that much though, like $8 million, which isn't that much. But he tried to do the right thing by doing a lot for the city of Detroit, which means a lot because he made a lot of property investments in the city. But the thing is, Detroit went broke, and so did Rick Mahorn. It was a good idea, it just didn't pan out. In 2010, he was forced to sell his championship ring and file for bankruptcy. That's gotta hurt. He was also billed by the city for late book fees, $55 worth at a local library. Wow, I think that's messed up. But he was able to redeem himself because he's an NBA radio analyst, and his current net worth is around $4 million, so it's not all over for him. But still, when you try to invest in Detroit, he just lost a lot of money, and to top that off with the book fees, like that's just cruel. Our next person is Dennis Rodman, and he made $27 million during his career, but he made a lot of poor lifestyle choices. He partied a lot, and that led him to be broke. In 2014, Rodman was taken to court for child support in which he supposedly owed $808,935. That's almost $1 million that he owed for child support. And the crazy part is, he claimed that he was too sick and broke to cover those expenses. But today his net worth is reported around $1 million, which is quite a fall for an NBA champion, who had a really nice peak but lost it all. Another person that almost lost it all is Derek Coleman, who earned over $91 million. Now look, I know of Derek Coleman, but I didn't know he made $91 million. That's crazy. He did have a lot of financial troubles in 2010 when a few of his business ventures in Detroit went bad. Yeah, the lesson is don't invest in Detroit. He had stakes in various fast food chains and ownership stakes in the Hilton Hotel. It just never panned out. So instead, he had to file for bankruptcy in 2010, owing over $2 million between 50 and 100 creditors that were coming for his head. But the good thing is his current net worth is still $40 million, so he didn't lose it all. He just made really bad investment choices. I can see why many people wouldn't want to touch Detroit anymore because this costs a lot of players a lot of money. That being said, this is one of the more darker videos, but yeah, these are NBA players who lost it all. Thank you all for watching. Comment down below which NBA player surprised you the most and had the hardest fall. And remember to drop a like and subscribe to Triple Double for more videos.